Hello, folks. This is David Jameson, president of the Aiken Chamber of Commerce, and this is another segment of Ask the Expert. As we've done in the past, we date this. It's April the 22nd, 2020, because so many things change as we're going through this together. Our guest today on Ask the Expert is Aiken County Superintendent of Education, King Laurence. King, you and I have both just heard the governor make an executive order about what will happen with schools. I'll say that my short version of what I heard was school facilities are closed, instruction continues. What did you hear?
Yeah, I heard the same thing, and this wasn't a real surprise to us. We've kind of expected that this was coming. We've had a number of conversations with Molly Spearman and with other folks at the State Department of Education, and this has been the feeling that we've had for some time. Yes, schools are going to be closed, but learning is going to continue. From the very beginning, we've had a plan for distance learning, and that's been very important to us. We've got our second round of learning packets out, and our second, actually 15 days worth of learning at home that's been going on, and much of that is paper and pencil. But a lot of it is through our learning management system and distance learning on online and wherever that's available. So we're continuing to do that. Our teachers are being creative. Our students are being creative along with their parents. We're using platforms like Zoom and other conferencing platforms so that teachers and students can get together. Teachers are going out on the buses as we're delivering meals just so they can say hello to their students and wave to each other. We've had parades through many of our communities of our teachers just so they can get out there and wave to their children, let them know that they're thinking about them. We know this isn't hard. This isn't easy. This hasn't been a picnic for our parents. Our parents are working hard. Many of them are facing layoffs and things like that. They're not used to the burdens that come with teaching their children in addition to all the other responsibilities that they have as parents. So worries about the future, worries about health, worries about mortgages, worries about keeping food on the table. All of those things are working on our parents while they're trying to help keep their students moving forward with their studies. So it really is a partnership, and we need to remember that as difficult as this is for us in making sure that we're providing learning for our students, it is incredibly difficult for our parents as they try to support their children.
Yeah, I think it is. I heard a mom told me this morning that she didn't know how long this instruction from home was going to continue, but she thought in August she'd like a different set of students. So we'll have to see where that goes.
I really enjoy seeing some of the things like where can I get a substitute teacher, and when the storms came through, I saw a lot of messages about a 2-hour delay. So parents are having fun with it too.
Now, my granddaughter is in school in Arizona, and they did a hard stop, just completely stopped school about 3 weeks ago.
Right.
Are you surprised at that action, or this? Which one do you reckon is the best direction?
Yeah, I think we've taken it in the right direction. I mean, I can understand that because we do have so many hurdles in distance learning. We have a lot of inequity. I mean, if we had broadband access for all of our students, and if we were able to put a device in the hands of all of our students so that they could have direct access to their teachers every day and direct access to continued learning, I think there'd be no question that we want to continue. It does make it more difficult when some students have access to technology and to broadband, and other students are, I wouldn't say fending for themselves, but have a lot less opportunities to interact with their teacher as they're doing the paper and pencil packets that we're sending home, and then they're bringing those back. So somewhere in between, I mean, we have to adjust what our expectations are. We have to make sure that we don't pile on too much new learning on our students, particularly when so many of them don't have access to their teachers and direct instruction on those things. But I think learning still has to continue. I think students still have to continue to be engaged with the material. And to the extent that we can do that without them being able to come into the schools, I think that we should continue to do that. Arizona's not the only one. A number of states have also made that choice. And we will adapt. We're going to look at what our students did third 9 weeks. And we're going to make sure that their second semester grade is not any lower than that. And that's a decision that we've made as a school district, because it just doesn't make sense for the work that these students are doing at home with limited access to their teachers should negatively impact their progress in school. Now, if they're able to do better and improve their grades for the semester, then that's wonderful, but we don't want to penalize students for what they're doing on their own.
Yeah, so when we talk just a tad more about this digital divide, do you have a sense of how many students are impacted by the lack of internet access? I'm talking about access. It's not a question of whether they can afford it or not. Who
Right.
doesn't have it, even if they had the money for
Everybody who lives around me, because I don't have access to it. I mean, I think I could get satellite internet, but there's no easy way to get internet, and pretty much everything you know, in the northwest and northeast part of the county, those are really rural areas that just simply don't have access to it. I think I could get dial-up if I, but I don't have a landline. But yeah, right. So, but it really is difficult to think about the number of our students who really just don't have access to technology because of that. And I know that the circumstances that we're in have really sped up that conversation. I've talked to a couple of our representatives in Columbia. I know that the governor and Superintendent Spearman both today mentioned that conversation is going on, and Accelerate SC talking about the need for broadband across the whole state, and that's something that we're really going to focus on. We can take care of the hardware. I think that's a commitment that we have as a school district to start looking toward, and this has really pushed us. This has been a catalyst for that, but really starting to push and make sure that we get devices that will be available for our students. But the connectivity is something that we've got to have a partnership with the broader community to make that happen.
Yeah, I agree with that. So let's talk a minute about the class of 2020. About graduations, about proms, about does this impact their college opportunities, or is everybody just going to say COVID-19 and colleges are going to adapt to that? And so what's going to happen with the class of 2020? Let's talk about that.
Yeah, I think they're going to be fine as far as college is concerned, because ACT, SAT, all of those folks are making adjustments. I heard the governor talk about life scholarships and those kinds of things and adjusting the requirements for those, because a lot of that has to do with what happens this time of year for students in school and the assessments that they take and those kinds of things. So I think from a college standpoint, from a scholarship standpoint, I think our students are going to be okay. I think adjustments are going to be made, and our colleges and universities across the country are going to adapt for that. Now, we can't do much about some of the things that are almost rites of passage for graduating from high school, proms and other events that are being impacted. We are very hopeful and optimistic that we'll be able to honor our students, our graduating students in some fashion. We're looking at alternatives for graduation. We sent a survey that we've gotten well over 1,600 responses already from our students, their parents, family members, teachers, on what they would like to see us do. Right now, the leading contender is to do something late in the summer. So that's certainly a possibility for us. I saw that Richland's 2 schools have already booked the Colonial Life Arena for early August. So they've already made the tentative commitment, at least, to move their graduations to August. I'd like to see us do something like that. Other things that we asked in our survey were, would you like to do some kind of virtual graduation, a drive-through graduation? And then we left it open for them to provide us with suggestions as well. But so far, the highest ranked choice is to do something later in the summer. So that's really where we're focusing our attention right now. But in the meantime, we've got some surprises up our sleeves that I don't want to let out of the bag just yet, but ways that we plan to honor our graduating seniors as we go through the next 6 or 8 weeks.
Oh, well, see, now you got everybody sitting on the edge of the chair waiting to hear what the surprise is.
Yeah.
Let me change horses just a minute. So
Okay.
schools are closed, the facilities are closed, the instruction continues, and parents have that. It seems like this is building towards somewhat of a conflict between getting businesses open and parents needing to go back to work and
Right.
child care. Is that just out of your realm to even consider what those possibilities are?
Yeah, that is really a tough one. It's the same thing we deal with when we have to close schools for weather, or when we have to, it's just on a grander scale, and the various breaks. The difference is that when these things happen, there are child care opportunities for students. Parents have time to make plans for what they're going to do for the summer with their children. The problem is a lot of the daycares and other sources that they would use for caring for their children while they're at work in the summer and other times during the year, those things are closed too because of the pandemic. So it is a really difficult situation for our parents, and I really don't know what the solution is. I know that from the standpoint of economic support, part of the CARES Act allows them to use family medical leave and those kinds of things during this time. Or a new version of paid leave so they can be off. But that doesn't help that business to continue to grow, and that's not something that's going to last forever. So I don't know. That's really a tough one because we do need to get the economy going again. Businesses are going to start opening back up, and parents are going to have that dilemma as to what happens with their younger children as they try to provide for their families.
So let's look forward to August and school opening. How do you think, will it be just a normal school opening, or do you have a vision for differences that might be there? Is it, where's the school district's thinking on August?
Yeah, well, ideally it would be a normal, traditional opening of school, but I think there are going to have to be some changes. We're looking at some things, just some simple things. We're deep cleaning our schools. I think our schools are cleaner right now than they've ever been because our staff has been there every day doing a lot of the things that there's no time to do during when students are there, or even in the extended periods that we have in the summer. So our schools are being cleaned and disinfected and sanitized regularly. Anytime someone has to be in our schools, we go back behind them and take care of that as we're doing food preparation and deliveries and instructional packet preparation and delivery. Right behind that, our staff goes in and make sure all of those things are cleaned and sanitized. Some things that'll be different, some things that we might see, I don't know, it depends on social distancing, what the recommendations are going to be at that time. We have to look at how we schedule our days. We have to run shifts or something like that. I mean, there are all kinds of things that could be different just depending on the course of this disease as it goes through the summer. some things that we can do and that we plan to do. So hand sanitizer stations. I mean, that's something that we don't have, but we do continue to encourage hand washing. But between hand washing, having hand sanitizer stations installed in our schools, and that's something that we haven't had. Putting up signs that just remind students and remind staff members and remind visitors about, you know, common sense kind of things like social distancing, and, you know, maybe asking the question, when's the last time you washed your hands? And just going through those things and reminding students how critical it is, and reminding our employees and visitors as well, how critical it is that they continue to act in a manner that that ensures their own health and safety, and ensures the health and safety of those that are around them. So I think that's going to be a big change that happens. Beyond that, I think it's really too early to determine what August is going to look like.
Let's look a little further into the future.
Okay.
King, what do you think has forever changed with K-12 education because of this?
I think one thing that has changed forever is the idea that that we can't assume that everything is going to stay the same. That we have to be flexible. We have to be ready for change. One thing that we discovered very quickly in this is that we do not have the capacity to deal with an emergency like this and continue business as usual. And when I say business as usual, if every student had a device that that they could take home, whether a laptop or a tablet or whatever it is that would allow them to continue their studies, if every student had access to reliable broadband, then I think we could continue business as usual. I think students in their homes would be able to interact with their teacher every day and continue, while not in a traditional manner, but they would be able to continue their studies. We wouldn't worry about whether we were giving too much new information to our students, because they would have access to their experts, they'd have access to their teachers, to their mentors every day. And I think that's something that we need to be prepared for. We need to recognize that that education in the future, I don't believe, is going to be a 6.5 hour a day proposition. It's going to be something that's going to have to be flexible from a time standpoint, from a year standpoint, and from a delivery model standpoint. We're going to have to find ways to be flexible and meet the needs of our families and our communities.
Okay, well, thank you so much. You know, we've had a great conversation with School Superintendent King Laurence. We're reflecting on the governor's press conference that took place earlier this day. And King, we wish you well. We wish you all the success in the future. Keep up the good work. Thank you.
Thank you, David. Thank you.